And this concept of a kind is fundamental to an understanding of biblical biology. In the book of Genesis, in chapter 1 and verse 11, God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees, according to their various kinds." And then again, in verse 21, we read that God created the great creatures of the sea and every living and moving thing with which the water teems, according to their kinds, and every winged bird, according to its kind. And then again, in verse 24, God said, "Let the land produce living creatures, according to their kinds, livestock, creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals, each according to its kind." And we find plenty of examples of variation within these kinds. We see variation within mankind, variation within the horse kind, within the dog kind, and also within plant kinds. But it's important to note that while we see variation within these kinds, we see distinction between kinds. Variation within each kind, but distinction between each kind. The natural world is not like the animation we saw earlier. The different kinds do not merge into one another, as that suggested. Now, from time to time, evolutionists claim that they found some fossil that's transitional, that's part way between two different kinds. But these are very few and far between, and they're rarely, if ever, very convincing. And if evolution were true, if the animation we saw earlier were correct, we would expect to find many transitional fossils, showing clear sequences leading from one kind to another. If evolution were true, we would not expect to find just a handful of questionable examples, which is really all the evolutionists have. The various kinds of plants and animals known from both the fossil record and the living world fall into separate, distinct groups. Many evolutionists know this and puzzle over it. But creationists can rejoice in it because it confirms the truth of the Bible.